Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Okay, guys, we're about to begin shortly. I want to thank everyone who um has taken the time to join. I really want to teach this course so that we can give pastors the opportunity to preach from their home offices. So I'm going to give this a few more minutes. I know people can watch it later. And then we can begin. Hello, everyone. I am Tricia Joy. I help Hyde Park Church regularly to put their services live on the internet, primarily YouTube, which is where this video is now. And I wanted to extend the education to be able to have other uh, congregations and religious groups be able to have their services remotely from home, especially the pastors in their home offices or in their church offices without the congregation. I felt like a presentation like this would be helpful. It's also helpful for not only the pastors and the leaders of other religious organizations, but it's important for the congregation who love and support all the pastors and love and support the services and really need the services during this trying time. So this video is called Intro to Streaming Worship Services. I catered all the things that I've learned over time to align it with what the church and or other religious organizations need right now to thrive not only in the moment but past this. I'm optimistic that we'll be able to congregate together and worship together in whatever religion or organization or church we are in. But I believe that this streaming the service is a method and technique that is here to stay. So I put this together and I'm going to go through it. Please, if you need to ask questions, you can ask in the comments, but you can also email me at wave@hellotricia.com. That's wave, WAVE, at hellotricia.com. And I will put that up for you at the end. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about me, and then we will get right into the lesson. All right, I just want to make sure I can have my email up for you whenever you need it. Okay. So, um, I don't know if everyone knows me. I know people from Hyde Park knows me, but I'll give you a little background on myself so you can understand where I'm coming from. I'm an ad technology specialist, or I freelance in the technology realm of advertising. So I know and have taught a lot of people about technology, and I wanted to use that experience here. I love comedy. I have to put that in there because I like the lighter side of things, even though we're in a dark time. So I'm not gonna go into jokes, but this is gonna be a light hearted presentation. I think we need that right now. I'm into content creation. As you know, I'm creating this content right now. And I attend church. I love church. I think church is necessary for more than just worshiping God, and we know this, but it helps bring up the spirit. It helps meet people meet together. It helps people help them come together to help other people, and that's what we need to continue to do. That's why this is a very important presentation. You can see a lot of my stuff at hellotricia.com. And that's where I'll have other videos. I do videos to make working from home easier or streaming from home easier, amongst other things. I have a class after this that teaches about the technology of streaming church services. So as you can see, I have a mic here. You cannot see my mixer. There's other technology that can bring up the quality in the service, and that's something you can progress to. But I'm having a class on that, and I do blog posts which kind of explain technology things in very basic terms, because nothing needs to be that complicated. So again, check out my site, and you can email me, and I'll provide my email at the end. So as I've been stressing from the beginning, fellowship flexibility, this is a term that I've created. Fellowship flexibility is very important right now. Um, every church, every religious organization needs to have the flexibility to do both online and on-site worship. Right? On-site means you need to be able to physically have your congregation in front of you and also cater to the congregation that is at home. Again, I think we're going to get through this COVID this COVID situation, but going forward, congregations are going to suffer PTSD. Both the church as an organization of the business is going to have a PTSD, and the people that are congregants of the church. The PTSD will come into the form of a drop in attendance, and that's because people are going to be more cautious about congregating with each other, and that's a hard to swallow fact. But again, a presentation or getting yourself ready for that situation will help you keep up membership. And in fact, in this presentation, I have points that actually will help the your congregations grow or show the potential for it. So again, I want people to stay optimistic. Sorry about that. I have a bunch of notes. I want people to stay optimistic, and you utilize this time to plan a strategy in which you can implement a offline and on off-site and on-site strategy to your church and worship services. So this presentation shouldn't be long, but it will be thorough. I have 3 topics I want to talk about. The dashboards that facilitate streaming. And when I say facilitate, I'll break that down because we all know about YouTube and we know about Facebook, and there are others out there, but facilitate means to bring the video to those platforms. You can go directly to YouTube and you can go directly to Facebook, but as you can see, because of how I'm presenting now. That's not what I'm doing. I'm using a platform that makes things so much more easier. And I believe all religious leaders, pastors, rabbis, deacons, trustees, whatever your title is within your organization, I believe that these platforms will make your lives so much more easier. So I'll compare the features, and I may talk about some prices because prices do change, and then my recommendation. I'm going to walk through the dashboards of both. And then I'm going to touch upon another aspect of this presentation that people don't think about, which is the process of getting ready for a show. So let's begin. There are three major platforms that churches, not even just churches, everyone uses to view their videos. And that's YouTube, that's Facebook, and that's Twitch. I don't know if any of you have heard of Twitch or use Twitch, but Twitch is used mostly by gamers, the younger generation. So I'm not gonna focus on Twitch because I know, and I don't see it very often. Although I can do some more research, I don't see church services on Twitch. It's mostly people showing off them playing their video games and/or other kind of quirky shows. It's not the target for church as of yet. Let's put it that way. So a lot of this presentation is going to be focused on how the church can easily get your services on YouTube and Facebook. Okay, so on this slide, I have three numbers: the number 2, the number 73, and the number 15. 2, 73, and 15. Those are important numbers when it comes to YouTube, and you can see the logo at the bottom, but I'll explain what 2 is. 2 for YouTube means 2 billion logged in monthly users. Again, this is an opportunity for your church to grow if you do things to get your services online. So the growth at on site, you have your static membership count, but there are 2 billion monthly logged in users of YouTube, right? 2 billion a month. So that's an opportunity for you to get people from the outside of the church to watch your services. 73. 73 represents 73% of adults in the US use YouTube. So 73% of adults in the US use YouTube. 15. The number 15 represents the amount of people from the US in the global scheme that use YouTube. Okay? Only 15% of the billions billions of monthly users are actually from America. So you have an opportunity to do global growth when it comes to church. All right? So here, and then I'm just checking my other screen. That's why my eyes kind of dart off at the side. And I will have this on YouTube. I will have this on. You can download it from my site. I'll send it out to the congregation or the people that have gotten this message. But the opportunity for global growth is there for churches. Okay, 15% of the users from YouTube, users of YouTube, are from America. So there's 85% opportunity for you to market or have other people from other countries around the world watching your services. All right, and this is just a breakdown by age group within the US as of September of people using YouTube. So, if example, 81% of kids use YouTube, 71% of people 26 to 35 YouTube, 67% of people 36 to 45 years old YouTube, right? 66% of people 46 to 55 YouTube, and so on and so forth. 56 plus, 58% of them are on YouTube. Okay. So internet has no bounds, right? There are no bounds for the internet. You have an opportunity as a religious group, religious leader, to reach this market if you implement the proper strategy to to your word communication, or your sermon, or your church's efforts. You must have an on-site and now online presentation. Okay. So the next slide, as you can see the logo at the bottom, I'm talking about Facebook. So some congregations are comfortable in having their services on Facebook. There is opportunity for growth on Facebook as well for churches. Here are some numbers that I want you to think about. The number 8, the number 4, and the number 26. 8, 4, and 26. Okay. 8 for Facebook represents 8 billion views for video. 8 billion views of video. 4 is, well, 4 represents the times, like it's 4 times more likely that people will tune in to watch a live stream. That is very good. I don't know exactly YouTube's number, but you'd have to have your crowd, or your followers be alerted. They gotta click the subscribe button and the little alarm button. Facebook's algorithm, although you have to be a follower, like, it pops up more, and it's more centralized, in my humble opinion. But I'm not steering you either way. Both platforms are great, but people that are on Facebook are 4 times more likely to watch your live video. This is a technical term, technical number, because a lot of people like to record their video on YouTube and then upload it to Facebook. Facebook doesn't like that. Facebook wants you to use them direct, and so they'll probably prop up your video more if you're doing straight to Facebook rather than pre-recording it and then uploading. Okay. 26 is a very fantastic number. And this is an assumption on my part, but 26 represents the growth of the use of Facebook by people born in 1945 or earlier, right? Also dubbed as the silent generation. I guess when silent movies and stuff were around or present in those times. But 26% growth in Facebook for people born 1945 and before. Okay. And so if you look at your church spread in terms of age group, I know ages, you don't really, I don't know if people ask their congregation how old they are, but if you happen to know how old the members of your congregation are, and you can see the spread, you can see the opportunity to get um viewers like them in the same group in the space of Facebook and YouTube. Okay. So this is just a chart that represents the average views for video posts on Facebook, as compared to Instagram and Twitter. I'm not going to talk about Instagram today because that's a different platform than what I'm trying to communicate about or talk about today, and the features don't apply, but I will figure them out because I like to figure things out. And neither is Twitter. But Facebook, they estimate that you could get from either 1,200 to 1,700 views on your videos. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, because the numbers that are presented here there is a great span. Like there are people that see very few views, but there are other videos that have a lot, and the variables in that come from branding, the church branding, like colors, making things look packaged so people are more like people feel like they want to see it, marketing, communication. We'll all talk about that later. So dashboards that facilitate, the word is facilitate streaming your church services. Again, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, you can go straight to YouTube and you can go straight to Facebook. I don't, if you can do it, you can do it, right? But there are features that some of these platforms have that package your service to make it look fantastic and as good as it can be from preaching or giving the word from home. The three things, the three platforms out there are Zoom, Be.Live, and StreamYard. A lot of people are using Zoom. In the chat that we have, the WhatsApp chat, and in you've seen it all around on the internet. You've probably encountered these for yourself. People are using Zoom like no tomorrow. And Zoom was, I'll go into Zoom a little bit, but I use Zoom. As I said, I do comedy. I still have rehearsals with other comedians and actors, and it's primarily in Zoom, and I think it's good for that. But I don't personally recommend Zoom for church services because we need to focus on packaging the services so they're more inviting, so you can get the opportunity to grow. We live in a very visual world, and things need to look very a certain way or feel a certain way for people to be attracted to them. So I just want to make that clear. And that's a non-church thing. This is like a branding Instagrammer like thing. And what we have to come to grips is that there's going to be a merging of worlds. You have to think like these YouTubers or these Instagrammers or these people that are on Twitch. The church has to take some of those characteristics in order to take advantage of those opportunities, or the opportunity of being in the faces of other people around the world. I'm going to talk about Be.Live. I don't know if you've heard of Be.Live. It's on, a lot of people on Facebook use it, and I've used it once. I'm not using Be.Live right now. As you can see at the very top of this screen, I'm using StreamYard. I've tested Be.Live and I've tested StreamYard, and for my purposes, for what I need to do, I prefer to use StreamYard. I do a lot of sports podcasting, if you guys don't can't assume, and sometimes I have a lot of people in the room. I have a lot of guests, and StreamYard allows me the flexibility to have more guests. That's really the reason why. But both Be.Live and StreamYard are useful. So as I mentioned before, Zoom is the hot thing in this industry right now. Churches are using it. People are getting married in Zoom, and the numbers on the internet and from Zoom themselves and their interviews show the mega growth that this platform has seen because of the coronavirus. Zoom shares are up 40% since February. So the company, if there's any company that's profitable right now in this industry, it's Zoom, right? 40%, their shares are up 40%. All right. They've had 74% in paid subscriptions. So all of these platforms have a free and tiered paid program. And because paid programs unlock additional features, the subscriptions have gone up. And just to give you just plain numbers, not percentages, of the growth of Zoom, in December 2019, the user base was 10 million. Since Corona, it's now 200 million. So there are a lot of people using this platform. So now I'm going to compare some of the features. All right. All three are web-based. That means you can go into the platform and go into Zoom using the website on your the browser on your phone or the browser on your desktop, which is very good, because in the past, as this space has been growing, you'd have to download programs, install that sort of thing. Although you can install Zoom, you can use it on the web. So I just want to make that clear. Another feature which I'm rebranding these features because I see the opportunity for them to used for worship service is interactive congregation engagement. Okay, interactive congregation engagement, which means you can um, not just speak to the congregation, but the congregation can send you messages. Right. So if they have a prayer request, they have a box where you can do that. If they want to raise their hand and say something, you can put up what their message is on the screen, and that gives that feeling, or that kind of aligns with their feeling of raising your hand if you want a prayer request, or you have a word to share, or you want to give an amen or hallelujah or praise. You can praise via comments, and so that's also good. And you can bring in guest preachers, have guests come in, and just like at church, but there are some video is definitely different than an in-person programming, and I'll talk to you about helping with that later. Service scheduling. This is scheduling when your church service goes live on the internet. All three have the ability to do it. You try to do it in advance, hours in advance, and that falls in line with your communication program, right? Communicating to the congregation when you are going to go live, and then having the links or prepared so that they can immediately access and not wait for a link to uh, come to their inbox or whatever medium you communicate with them in. So service scheduling is available for each. Facebook integration. So we began this presentation talking about how the opportunities on Facebook and YouTube, these programs, you can push your live video into Facebook and YouTube. And so you will be able to take advantage of that growth that I was talking about before, with all three platforms. They also um, give the opportunity to customize. Now, this is where it gets dicey, and I should have put a little light or a number or ranking here, but the next presentation I do, I'll consider that. Each of these can customize in some way, but I would definitely say Be.Live and StreamYard will give you the opportunity to brand or put your church brand when it comes to colors. If your church logo, that is something that I know Be.Live and StreamYard do best and or better than Zoom. And the reason why that is possible is not because Zoom fell behind in their features, but Zoom wasn't made for this. Zoom was made for enterprise corporate customers to have meetings inside their office and not really just promote it to the rest of the world. So branding and logos and stuff wasn't at the forefront of how they were building their platform. But Be.Live and StreamYard wanted to make sure that people can get their word out to Facebook and YouTube. So they spent special time in making things easy to use, which is a very important thing. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, and visually pleasing. Again, I'm recommending these programs because you can push to YouTube and Facebook, but it's easier on the pastor. It's easier on the producer. If it's not the pastor, it's like a junior pastor, associate, or some other director within the church, or the other titles that are in the other religious organizations. It makes things seamless. I'm telling you from my own perspective, it takes me less than 5 minutes to go live. Um, and I'm seasoned, I'm practiced. Again, I'm using a high powered camera, not a webcam, and I'm using a mixer. But if I wasn't using all of that, it probably would take me 2 minutes, right? And that flexibility shows how easy the platform is to use. And it's very important as a pastor that you have that, because if you're in your home office by yourself doing your lives, you want the least complicated things in the platform you're using to go live, because you need to focus on the word rather than the process. Feel me? And that's what I think is very important. Again, you need to focus on the word and not this process. So that's why I'm picking the platforms that are easier for you to use and promote the most growth. So, as I spoke about before, there's the titles. Zoom has some title features, but I wouldn't even, it again, it wasn't built for having titles, because it was a program used for corporate rooms. So they have like a whiteboard, they have something where you can converse as a meeting, right? But services aren't really meetings if you think about it. They're actually um I know this word is kind of below what religious service are, but they're actually personal. They're actually shows, right? A show of you, or and I don't mean an entertainment, but like it's in that realm of a show in terms of the function, when there are two or one or two or more main people who are the center of your attention, and then everyone else is just can be there to view. So that's why I prefer Be.Live over and Be.Live and StreamYard over Zoom. But you can have nice titles, split screens. I have a split screen now. I'm showing myself at the side, and then I have the presentation here. But split screens, so if you have two pastors, or you have a guest on that you want to talk to, for maybe a special service, maybe a prayer service, or maybe you want to show a dialogue between a guest preacher or guest member of your congregation, you can give the opportunity for your congregation or your audience to see both people at the same time, as if they were physically there at the church. All right, so you can do split screen stuff like that. Phone line integration. So Zoom has phone line integration, and the others do not. But that is not a obstacle. Again, I have a advanced course that teaches you how to have people call in and communicate with you via the phone. And I would say, let's say this, I'll put Zoom ahead with the phone line integration, because again, it was built for corporate America, and in corporate America they have a lot of conference calls, so they have callers there. But some people in your congregation, or some people in different age groups, may not understand the cadence of what the phone line or the conference call dial in. And sometimes you may hear a lot of noise in the back end, or people aren't used to pin numbers, right? Some of these phone lines, you need to call in and put in a pin. And so if you don't know, if you're not used to that, it presents another frustrating obstacle. So there are two things that the pastor who is probably facilitating um this visual meeting, or this visual meeting, also has to contend with. They have to listen or tell people to mute their lines, and then try to mute the lines too, and then People dialing in the middle of the service. Sometimes you hear the sound of them coming in, all things that can distract the pastor or the leader, religious leader, from their services, and when they really have to focus mind, body, and spirit in the word. So yes, Zoom has the phone line integration and it's wonderful, but in an advanced course, I can teach you how to get around that, and or we could talk about me possibly helping with the service to get phone calls in. I'll give you a heads up. I have phone lines in all my presentations, again, because I do host a lot of sports shows. But I noticed that Facebook or YouTube or any of these platforms do not allow for you to have a phone call, or they don't have the feature. Sorry. So over the years, I've figured out this feature so that you can have phone calls, clear phone calls without a pin during your service. Um, and I will talk about that in another course. So if you're interested, please let me know. Let me put my email up real um um up. I saw a question about StreamYard and if StreamYard is a scam. StreamYard is definitely not a scam. Is it is safe, and it's super safe. And I can just give you a high level explanation of the process. Even when you sign up for StreamYard, you have to have an email, right? So like everybody has an email, but they'll have to send you a special key or an ID or PIN to your email before you can even get into StreamYard. So it's not like, hey, here's a password, here's a username, come right in. You have to then validate that key. And on top of that, and we'll get to that later about Zoom, the reason why it's a safer than Zoom is that if you're controlling it, right, the pastor or the whoever's facilitating or producing the the worship service, you control who is coming in and out of the service. I cannot um I cannot allow for anybody to come into my show unless I provide them a short but complicated link. If you don't have that link, and you only get it from me emailing it to you, you cannot come into my show. And even if you get the link by mistake, let's say somebody sends out the link but to their friends by mistake and they meant to send out a YouTube link, I can see people come into the studio and kick them out before they even go live. So that is a feature of both Be.Live and StreamYard. Zoom allows you to kick people out and or allow people access to your live. But if you're thinking about a bunch of different things as the pastors do, and you're trying to get your scriptures together, and you're trying to just make sure that everything is in order, you might let somebody into your Zoom not knowing that they're not supposed to be there. Right? That is a problem, or that, well, I'm not even going to dance around it. That is a recent problem that's been in the news. um but and with Be.Live and StreamYard, um you can basically avoid that. So um I didn't put the pricing here. I was going to do it, but you can um go to these sites yourself. I will put them in the links to them in the description so you can look at the pricing. The only reason why I elected not to put it in is because it may change, because now this is life. We need to have a streaming option to everything. Not just church. Corporate America was not built for this. And they, like the church, are going through this transition where they need to figure out how they're going to do this. Corporate America will probably stay with Zoom and or whatever. I think Microsoft has their own meetings type of platform, but for things like church, I think that churches, religious groups need to look at other options outside of Zoom. And is is until Zoom builds up those other features that pertain to branding, I would stay with Be.Live and StreamYard. Okay. So I'm gonna just take my email down briefly just because I want you to see the whole screen. Um, and so we just talked about this. I think Zoom falls behind in branding, like it's a bunch of boxes on the screen. And when you're putting together now this show or this worship service, you want the best look possible. It does help. I know the word is important, but people are attracted to a look. Anything so a well put together looking church service or worship service will attract more people to come because it just reflects on planning. I don't think Zoom is as easy to use. It has a nice platform, it has a nice look, but again, the pastors need to be able to set it and forget it. And I believe that StreamYard and Be.Live allow for easier pre-show preparation than Zoom. So I want to see if I can show you some videos of what these platforms look like so that you can see what I'm talking about if you're not familiar. So the first one, well, let me just make sure. Yep, I have it on here. So the first one we're going to look at is Be.Live. And this is their homepage, right? Professional live streaming made easy. I mean, the word easy is right there. And they aren't lying. It is very easy to use. And I'll tell you the little thing. There's a little thing on the reason why I elected not to use it. I mentioned the people. I have a large guests, or I have a lot of guests that come into my other shows, but there was like one minor thing that I liked with Be.Live. I mean, with StreamYard over Be.Live. But um, on the screen, you can see they have a video of how easy it is to use. So here's your side by side visual of having people here. They're showing you right now how you can pick colors to customize the look of your StreamYard. And in the screen here, you can see that they have comments coming in for Facebook. So that's the integration I was telling you about, the integration with Facebook. And you could even customize the screen. So they're showing their multiple integrations with YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, and how nice it looks. At the bottom of the screen, where you see the people scrolling at the bottom, that's the studio where people are waiting to go live. And we talked about safety earlier. You can't come onto my live screen unless I patch you in. And here are the different arrangements on screen that you can have to make things look visually pleasing as you add in more participants. Okay, so um, they their sales pitches, there is zero setup. It is really easy. You connect your camera. They have a lot of things on the screen that allows you to test things before you even go live, like the strength of your internet, which is very important. I did another video, and I'm happy to send that to other people and put it in this description. And if you access this video later, I'll put it as a card at the end. I did a video on what you need to do to prepare for going live, and one of them is making sure that you have strong internet. So that is an important thing, but I'll save that for another time. Um, The next one I'm going to show you is StreamYard. So here's StreamYard. Again, they're good with the marketing. You see big old easy on the screen, but it is truly easy. Now, it doesn't look as flashy as Be.Live. I will admit that. But my goodness, it's one of the most easier platforms to use, hands down. And maybe because it's so minimal, it does allow for you to believe that it's like everything is just as simple. Here they're showing how titles or people's comments, sorry, can be put on the screen. This is the view of how looks on your phone as you're viewing people's StreamYard stream. A lot of you access the church services via phone, and so that's the look. Here is they're showing you how to add a guest in, and at the bottom you see the guest, and then you can only add the guest in when you add them to your screen. Again, a level of safety that Zoom doesn't offer, that allows you to control who comes on your screen. Um, I see some questions coming up about GoToMeeting, and I'll address that at the end. So stick around to the end. But again, you can see the simplistic view or the simplistic platform. This is it. This is what you see as a pastor when you log into StreamYard, and this is all you need to see. You just need to put where your scriptures would going, which is in the banner section, and then the comments, and that's it. you know um yes, so Be.Live offers other features that you can check out to yourself for yourself. They have an option for you to connect the store. They have adding media in, so if you have a video or something that you want to add to the visuals, you can also do that on Be.Live. A word about that, um, because I know people love to add videos or want to do put songs in, and this can go into depth, but I don't think the feature of the media is really necessary, if unless you normally during your physical church services play videos. I know it's great to have that incorporated, but church showing the videos within the church or the physically in the worship service doesn't open you up to copyright and other obstacles that you will run into if you are online. Okay. So I think that you should be very careful at putting up videos anyway in your presentations, because you are now on a global stage. Unless the videos are private, you can have a private video and only send it to the members of your congregation. But if they're out to the global internet, the world, I would suggest you do content that you put together. So if you, the pastor, or the leader of the church, did a video on something in the past and you want to reference that in your service, then you can use Be.Live, and then you insert your media, and then show that. You won't run into copyright situations, but they have the technology on YouTube and Facebook to scan real time when you are using copyrighted materials, and they will flag your content. So it's enough that you have to pay attention to everything else, but you don't want to have to then discover that your live or your video is either cut off or flagged because of copyright issues. So we've gone through that. Um, so I'm actually going to make this a separate video, because once you go to YouTube, you will see your live shows when you prepare them. This is actually a good way to segue into the other aspect of setting up the shows. So this is going to be the third bullet point that we talked about in the agenda, which is preparing for the show. You can preset your worship service and schedule it for later. Once you schedule it for later, it's present in your Facebook profile or your YouTube profile. So again, if you're going to be a church or worship service that's going to go live or wants to go live and hasn't done that yet, please start your Facebook group. It's easy. It takes 5 seconds. Again, I'll put my email address up at the end if you need help doing that. Make your Facebook group, make your YouTube group or YouTube page, because that is going to create the links or the access to your services. And once you have the links or the access to those services, like you do in your YouTube studio, then you can send that link to your congregation so that they can access the show when it's time to go live. So, again, this is a segue to a very important part of setting up for your worship service, and that is the planning process. This part, I think, is overlooked and underrated and underestimated. It takes a whole lot of time to prepare for a live show. And, you know, some churches that are going live are seeing this in action. There are a lot of steps to it, but I don't want to overwhelm you. Again, I'm here, and I'll put up my email address for help if you want to ask me questions about what I do. But there are a lot of steps that come with planning your service. I know the word sometimes come to preachers and pastors sometimes on the day of service. You never know when God is going to speak to you. But I don't know if you can have some deeper conversations earlier. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But you need to be able to either be very quickly at putting up your titles, which have your scriptures, not use scriptures at titles at all. So you just announce the scriptures, but or pre-plan the service ahead of time. That means have the scriptures you're going to touch on ready and in the system beforehand. And we'll talk about some other things later, but that was just one of the few things that I know that a preacher that usually is in person. I know the process of becoming or coming into the spirit cannot be planned, but some of these stuff need to be planned ahead, guys. It'll just make your life easier. So if you can plan the service, uh, a, w- and when I have a week in advance, I don't mean like come up with the word a week in advance, but you can organize your services in the dashboard ahead of time, and then come back later and add the scriptures. So if you know you're going to have one service every Sunday, or a prayer service every Wednesday, you can pre-set up for the month what that service is. Maybe put a date in the title, and then put that in your dashboard. The reason why that's important is because you can get those YouTube links ready ahead of time, and then start your communication plan early. So, just like if you mail a letter or send an email or invite somebody to a wedding, this is inviting somebody to a service, and you have to do it weekly. And sometimes people need to plan their schedule ahead, or they take time to read their emails. They don't know, like they're not very good at email or accessing email. So if you send it to them days in advance, at least you give the lead time for a person to be able to go into their email at their normal leisure. Maybe it's every 2 days. Some people do it every day. I'm like in there every hour, but give them at their leisure to be able to access or see, oh, there will be a service. Here is my link already. So I don't have to come back for it later or search later. I have the link that this show is going to be on 3 days from now, and I know to take this email and save it, and I will come back to it. That is why it's very important to pre-plan the service, because of not not because, it just keeps things easier for the pastor, but it makes it easier on the congregation. All right. You can only change your behavior. You can't change others. So, but you have to be cognizant of it. And then people aren't email. Now, I won't say email savvy, but they just don't check their email as often. So, and there also needs time to get the word out to their friends. So try to do things in advance. The communication plan. Now, some right now, in working with Hyde Park or other churches, like we tend to do a communication or a blast in a chat the day of, and again, in order to keep people to remind people and be cognizant of their daily schedules, I recommend an announcement that a service is going to happen twice a week. Now, that doesn't mean you have to send the link out twice a week, but it's a reminder that this is happening is very, very, very important. I worked in advertising, and so I'm just going to use a little advertising term or a thought that we had real quickly. So, again, church service are now going to have to act as YouTubers, Instagrammers, and like big brand advertisers. And one of the things that we in the advertising industry used to think about was something called frequency. All right, the frequency at which somebody who is your audience or congregation, your potential audience, if you're growing your congregation globally, the frequency that they see your brand is directly correlated to recognition or remembrance, right? And so, depending on what the product is, they would want to show someone an ad 7 times a day, and some people don't even know that they're seeing it 7 times a day. It's in their peripheral, or it's not a priority in their view. It's not the focus of their view, but any little bit counts. So sometimes we would aim for a frequency of 7. Depending on the product, it could be as much to 13. Not saying to harass and blast your congregation, but what I'm stressing is, if you're going to prospect, that's another advertising term, prospect or grow new members, you're going to need to have a good branding and be in their peripheral, or have some kind of communication to them multiple times. So try to have your communication um plan together and use any channel. You can at them, you can call them, you can send them a message, you can email. So we're just about at an hour, and I wanted to thank the people that um participated in the comments. I got a lot of comments. Again, I'm gonna put my email up so you you can see it. And I'm picking one or maybe two people, depending on the schedule. I'll pick in one person to do a free 1 hour service. So you can get online if you don't have it right now, or you want to explore another option. Again, the producing of the show is the hardest part. So I I want to help to make sure that people are going to be online. So I'll help you create your dashboard and schedule your service and launch the service for you, and also sit during the service to put up the titles and things like that of the scripture or whatever is the content of that show. I'm going to put a link, a calendar link in the description, or email it to you if you email me, so that you can talk about me possibly helping with your service. But that my friends, is the total presentation. I hope that you've gained something from this, and I hope that you can send this link to any um, place of worship, leaders of worship, and give them my email so that they can communicate me with me as well. I really, really wanted to have this presentation because I know that something like this situation, COVID, keeping people indoors can be a detrimental to the not only just the church but faith itself, and people need to be able to communicate with others to keep the faith. So this is important on many levels, not just keeping church doors open, but keeping people optimistic that they will get through this and other situations that arise in their life, which is the main one of the main purposes of church, is to support each other. So let me take this down. Uh, And so, with that said, I know this is the first time you get to see my face in full on screen. Please, everybody, share this video, and I put my link to the website and to my website and the link to StreamYard and Be.Live, so you can check them out in the description. Again, let's all keep the faith. Let's keep the religious organizations, churches, whatever, whatever religion, let's keep them open, because keeping the faith is very important right now during this time. So I thank you for lending me this hour. Email me at wave at hellotricia.com if you have any questions. Thank you.